The new reporter in turn deliberately falsified the situation at the fire scene to secure a full-time position and create a headline. Because of her, firefighters who rushed in to fight the fire and nearly 1,000 company employees were killed in an explosion. There were no bodies left to salvage. My husband, who was also my superior, gave false testimony for her sake and claimed I was the one who had made the decision. I lost my job, and everyone cursed me, telling me to die. On the day of the trial, a grieving family member of one of the victims threw a bottle of acid at me. I died in unbearable pain as the acid ate me alive. Meanwhile, my husband was busy comforting the intern. Don't be afraid. She deserved this. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day she made that false coverage. Chapter 1. Janice, let me cover the scene, the intern said in a young, eager voice. Ruby Thomas wore her work attire and never complained despite holding a heavy camera in her hand. I looked like a senior colleague picking on her for no reason when I stood next to her. I heard myself say, no, you're still an intern. You're still not familiar with how to handle emergencies on your own. A familiar male voice cut in next. Let Ruby handle it. You were a rookie once, so you should give her a chance to grow. That was when I finally woke up. The man who had just spoken was my husband, Danny Smith, who was also my superior. Ruby was a new intern. She was one breaking story away from landing a full-time position. In my previous life, I had also turned down her request. Then, my husband had criticized me for targeting her and refusing to give her a chance in front of all the other staff. He had then decided for me and sent Ruby to the fire, not even assigning anyone experienced to go with her. I had had no choice but to stay at the office and pay attention to the coverage, and I thought this would just be another close call. I never expected Ruby to falsify a coverage just to get that job. There were still more than 1,000 employees in the factory along with the plant's stockpile of explosive materials, yet she had hidden all of that information and gone on air claiming there was no one trapped, acting as if the explosive materials did not exist. The firefighters believed her and rushed in to organize the evacuation. In an instant, the entire factory blew up and killed all the employees and every firefighter who had gone inside. Nothing was left of them. She had done all of it just to create a piece of sensational news, and when it hit the front page, she received the notice that she had passed her probation. However, too many people had died. Their families were devastated, and amidst the public outrage, someone secretly lodged a report saying she had lied about the fire. When the police burst into the company, Danny pushed me forward instead. He wrapped his arms around the sobbing Ruby and said to me, Janice, just turn yourself in. You sent an intern to the scene alone when you're the senior. She's just an intern, so of course this is your fault. The footage from the office's security camera had been destroyed, so the video of me refusing Ruby's request was gone. He went as far as to lie on the spot, claiming I had ignored his objections and insisted on sending an intern to the scene. He even pulled out the finalized assignment sheet, and my signature was on it. He helped Ruby fabricate the evidence, and I ended up in prison. The explosion had taken too many lives. I was thrown into the middle of the mob, lost my job, and was drowned in abuse online. Everyone cursed at me and wanted me dead. On the day of the trial, the furious families broke through the bailiffs, and a bottle of sulfuric acid was hurled at me. I collapsed on the floor as the acid splashed on me, screaming and rolling until the pain eventually killed me. Only then did I realize it had all been a plan to get rid of me. Danny did not care whether I lived or died. He had run to comfort the shaken Ruby instead. Don't be scared. She deserved all of this. The last image in my memory was of Ruby being held in my husband's arms, smiling smugly, and it was carved deep into my mind. I hated them. I hated their cruelty and their need to wipe me out completely, but luckily, I was given another chance. I had regressed to the day she had falsified that coverage. Chapter 2. The pain of acid burning through me pulled my mind back to the present. As soon as Danny finished speaking, Ruby gave him a shy smile, and they exchanged a look right in front of me. The next second, Danny reached out and patted her head. Once you finish covering this story, you'll be confirmed full-time. Ruby's eyes lit up, but before she could say anything else, I stopped them. So, you don't need me anymore? Should I resign now and leave you two to do it together? I wasn't going to just let it go this time. I didn't want to let them get away with this, and I definitely didn't want innocent people to die for this. My bluntness turned the mood in the office heavier in a heartbeat. Ruby's eyes turned red, just like a scolded child, making Danny yell at me immediately. Watch your tongue, Janice. Ruby and I are just co-workers. I stepped in because I saw you picking on a newcomer. As your husband, I couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Instead of reflecting on yourself, you're even refusing to change for the better. I couldn't help but smile coldly internally. Co-workers. It looked more like something else entirely to me. He was already fooling around, yet he still wanted to act like he was doing nothing wrong. No means no. This breaks company policy. An intern can't go to a scene without a senior reporter, I said. At the mention of company policy, Danny scoffed instead. Are you trying to push me out, Janice? Unfortunately, as long as I'm your superior, you'll have to listen to my orders. Ruby is going, and that's final. He then took Ruby's hand and left. I had expected Danny to use his authority to suppress me. What I didn't expect was for him to drive her there himself. He made it clear to everyone in the company that anyone who tried to stop her would be fired. I tore off my badge and drove after them, but not before going to the security room. When I arrived, Ruby was already talking with the firefighters. There was absolutely no guilt on her face as she treated their lives as though they were nothing. All right. We'll start the evacuation right away. Thank you for the information. I ran over and managed to hear that line, and my anxiety overtook me. I didn't know how to stop all of this.